In 1683, 13 Krefeld families reached Philadelphia on the Concorde with almost nothing. Their trunks were light, but their breakfast habits crossed the ocean with them. Centuries later, Cincinnati still fries goetta by the million pounds, and Lancaster still sells Scrapple before lunch. But one bowl on this list was shared by two Swiss armies in 1529, right before they were supposed to kill each other. So why did foods this tough vanish from American tables? We start with number 15, quark brought. Quark brought is what you eat when the farm has milk, the bread is getting hard, and nobody has time to cook. You take dark rye, spread it thick with quark, add salt, maybe chives, and breakfast is done. Quark is a soft, fresh cheese made from soured milk that gets strained until it turns cool, white, and tangy. That sounds plain now, but for a German farm family it made perfect sense. The bread gave weight. The quark gave protein. The whole thing used milk before it went bad. America didn't really reject quark brought. It forgot the word first. Cream cheese moved in. White bread got normal, and the old habit slipped away. Once one spread vanished, another cheap breakfast went quiet right behind it. That quiet little breakfast was number 14, Apfelmus auf Schwarzbrot. This one barely counts as cooking, which is why it worked so well. A child could make it before the stove was hot. Cut black bread, spoon applesauce over it, eat before chores. German families didn't waste ugly apples. Bruised apples, small apples, and windfall apples went into a pot, cooked down, and sat in jars through winter. That applesauce wasn't just sweet, it was stored sunlight. On soft white bread, it turns sad. On dense rye, it works. The bread holds the spoonful. The apple cuts through the sour grain. A little cinnamon makes it feel richer than it is. That was the old trick. Cheap food didn't have to taste cheap if every part had a job. Milk followed that same rule, and the next bowl is the one modern breakfast people would fear first. Number 13 is the sour morning bowl, called Buttermilchsuppe. Buttermilchsuppe sounds wrong until you remember where buttermilk came from. After butter was churned, the sour liquid left behind was still food. Throwing it out made no sense. German cooks warmed it gently, thickened it with flour or mashed potato, added onion, and used bacon only if the house had some. Pour that over stale bread and yesterday's leftovers turned into breakfast. The old farmhouse kind wasn't the same as every carton in a store today. It was sharper, thicker, and tied straight to butter making. Once families stopped churning cream at home, this soup lost its reason to stay. A plainer idea survived in Amish kitchens because it needed only milk, crackers, and no shame at all. That's where number 12 comes in, stewed crackers. Stewed crackers sounds like something you eat when the weather wins. Warm milk goes into the bowl. Salt and pepper follow. Crushed crackers soften in it, but they don't fully disappear. They turn into something halfway between dumplings and porridge. In some homes, spring peas went in too. That made the bowl sweet, green, salty, and warm at the same time. It worked because Amish cooking respects food that can wait. Crackers sat on the shelf. Milk came from the barn. One pot could feed children before the day had a chance to get cold. Outsiders might laugh at it. A hungry grandmother would just call it breakfast. The grain version of that same idea was older, slower, and a lot harder to fake. Number 11 is Hafergrütze, the oat bowl before oatmeal got soft. Hafergrütze is cracked oat groats cooked slowly in milk or water with salt. Not instant oats. Not sweet packets. Not the gray paste people eat because somebody told them it was healthy. This was chewy, nutty, and slow. It took time because the grain still had bite. Add butter if the house had it. Add honey if the hive was kind. Eat it at sunrise, and hunger had to wait. That mattered on farms where lunch was far away and work didn't care how empty your stomach felt. By now, the pattern is clear. These weren't random old recipes. They followed a rough little rule. And once you see that rule, the rest of the list gets better. The old poor kitchen had one rule, and it ran everything. Nothing got one job. Stale bread became soup. Sour milk became soup. Ugly apples became winter breakfast. Oats stretched meat. Cornmeal replaced older grains when German-speaking families reached Pennsylvania. That's why these foods crossed borders. They weren't just recipes, they were answers. But when America got richer, the answers started to feel embarrassing. Soft bread stayed soft for days. Cereal came in bright boxes. Sugar moved from treat to habit. The foods that built strong mornings got pushed aside by foods that looked cleaner, sweeter, and easier. One of those poor foods didn't die, though. It slipped into American breakfast under a new name.
Number 10 is Armour Ritter.
The poor knight hiding inside French toast. Armour Ritter means poor knights, and the idea is simple. Take stale bread, soak it in egg and milk, fry it until the outside browns, add sugar, cinnamon, fruit, or whatever the house can spare. For a poor child, this was a big day. Eggs cost something. Butter cost something. Sweet topping meant somebody saved a little joy for the morning. Today, Americans call it French toast and treat it like brunch food. The old German name carried the joke better. It was cheap bread dressed up like a feast. Bread could become a knight. In Bavaria, it could also become soup. Number 9 is Brotsuppe, the bowl that made stale bread fight back. Brotsuppe exists because throwing bread away once felt wrong in a way we barely understand now. You take hard, dark bread, fry it with onion and butter or fat, pour hot broth over it, and simmer until the bread breaks down. The soup turns thick, brown, and salty. This needs real bread. Soft sandwich bread turns gluey. Rye, Bauernbrot, or sourdough gets hard enough to fight back, which is why it thickens the broth so well. That's the part modern kitchens forgot. Old bread wasn't dead. It was waiting for its second job. One Swiss second job became so famous that people still tell it like a peace story. Number 8 is Kappeler Milchsuppe, the milk soup tied to a battlefield. In 1529, Protestant Zurich and Catholic Zug faced each other near Kappel during the Swiss Reformation. The story says, the soldiers didn't start by fighting, they shared food. One side had bread, the other had milk. A pot went between them, and the two sides ate before the First War of Kappel ended without a battle. Old stories can get polished over time, and this one is often told as a symbol. Still, the picture is hard to beat. Two groups ready for blood still understood hunger. That's why Kappeler Milchsuppe lasted in memory. It isn't fancy. It's milk, bread, broth, and cheese in many versions. The shock comes from where people say it was eaten. Across Switzerland, another plain soup still wakes people before dawn. Number 7 is Mehlsuppe, Basil's dark flour soup. Mehlsuppe starts with flour, which sounds like the weakest breakfast on earth. The trick is patience. You toast the flour in a dry pan until it turns deep brown. The smell changes first. It goes from dusty to nutty, almost like roasted meat. Broth, onion, and cheese turn that browned flour into a real bowl. Basil still serves it during Fasnacht, the carnival that starts at 4 in the morning on the Monday after Ash Wednesday. That timing tells you what kind of food this is. It's not delicate. It's what you eat in the cold while drums move through dark streets and the city is half awake. Pennsylvania had its own cheap grain comfort, but corn changed the whole story. Number 6 is cornmeal mush, the old idea that became American. German-speaking settlers knew grain porridge before they knew Pennsylvania. Back home, different grains filled the pot. In America, corn was everywhere, so the method changed. Boil cornmeal with water and salt, pour it into a pan, let it set, slice it the next morning and fry it in butter, lard, or bacon grease. That crisp edge is why it survived. Fresh mush fills you. Fried mush makes you happy. Add syrup, molasses, applesauce, eggs, or nothing at all, and it still works. The Amish kept it because it didn't need a pitch, it needed a skillet. Not every breakfast on this list was gentle, though. Some smelled like hard winters and war years. Number 5 is Schmaltzbrot, the lard bread people pretend they wouldn't love. Schmaltzbrot is rye bread spread with pork fat. That line alone makes modern breakfast people panic, but German workers knew better. The best version used Griebenschmalz, lard mixed with cracklings, onions, apples, and herbs. Put that on dark bread with a pickle, and you get salt, fat, crunch, sourness, and fuel for cold work. Butter could be hard to get. Pork fat could be saved. That's why this food hits old memories so hard. It smells like ration years, farm kitchens, and the kind of thrift nobody bragged about because nobody wanted to need it. Shame didn't make it dumb. Shame just helped push it off the table. The next bowl didn't fade because people judged it. It faded because the old grain got pushed aside. Number 4 is habermus, the spelt porridge linked to Hildegard of Bingen. Hildegard of Bingen was a 12th century abbess who wrote with deep love for spelt. Habermus comes from that world. Cook spelt with water or milk, add apple, honey, cinnamon, and warming spices like galangal, and the bowl becomes sweet without turning into candy. The sharper survival detail belongs to brentar, a related Swabian porridge made from roasted flour, often spelt. Old Swabian sources say brentar helped people on the Swabian Jura during the famine year of 1540. That doesn't make one bowl magic. It makes the grain matter. Spelt could grow where other grains struggled. It stored well. It filled the belly. For poor families, that was enough to turn breakfast into a lifeline. Once grain met meat scraps, the story moved north. Number 3 is knip, the Bremen sausage built from oats and scraps. Knip came from Bremen and Lower Saxony, and it didn't try to look pretty. It used oat groats, pork head, pork belly, rind, liver, broth, salt, pepper, and allspice. The mix was packed like sausage, smoked, sliced, and fried. For a long time, people called it poor man's food because it used the parts butchers couldn't sell for much. That was the point. The oats stretched the meat, the fat carried flavor, the slice could sit on bread beside applesauce or pickles and act like a full meal. Knip stayed regional in Germany. Its idea crossed the Atlantic and changed shape in Cincinnati. That American child of German thrift is still sizzling. Number 2 is goetta, Cincinnati's breakfast fossil. Goetta is pronounced goetta, and Cincinnati treats it like a secret handshake. German immigrants brought the meat and grain habit with them. Cincinnati had pork, beef, oats, and butcher shops, so the old idea became something new. Pork and beef cooked with steel-cut oats, onion, bay, pepper, and spices until thick, cooled into loaves, sliced and fried crisp. Glears, the best-known maker, traces its shop to 1946 and now says it makes over 2 million pounds a year. That number is wild for a food many Americans have never heard of. Even better, goetta doesn't really exist in modern Germany the same way. Its parents do, its cousins do, but this exact thing became Cincinnati's. Scrapple pulled off the same trick even earlier, and it became harder to kill. Number 1 is Scrapple, the breakfast loaf that used everything but the squeal. Scrapple is Pennsylvania Dutch thrift in its most honest form. Its roots reach back to German Panhas traditions, where pork scraps met grain and became a loaf. In Pennsylvania, cornmeal joined the mix, along with wheat or buckwheat flour. The old method was simple in a brutal way. Boil the pig parts nobody turned into ham or bacon, save the broth, chop the meat, stir in grain until it thickens, pour it into pans, chill it, slice it, fry it until the outside gets crisp. That crisp edge saved the whole thing. People argue about syrup, ketchup, mustard, eggs, and how thin the slice should be. Arguments like that mean a food is alive. Scrapple survived because it answered the oldest butcher question. What do you do when the good cuts are gone? You feed people anyway. And that's why these forgotten breakfasts still hit hard. These weren't poor foods because people lacked ideas. They were smart foods because people lacked waste. Every bowl on this list came from pressure, a hungry child, a hard winter, a pig that had to last, milk that couldn't spoil, bread that couldn't be thrown away, a family that needed breakfast before work, not a pretty plate for strangers. That's what America forgot when food got easier. We didn't just lose old recipes, we lost the kitchen brain that knew how to stretch, save, and still make something worth eating. So pick one. Quark on rye, applesauce on black bread, fried cornmeal mush, schmaltzbrot, goetta, scrapple. Make it this week and eat it slowly. Because what you're tasting isn't poverty. It's somebody's grandmother beating an empty cupboard. If your family had a German, Swiss, Amish, or Pennsylvania Dutch breakfast that didn't make this list, drop it in the comments. If you made it this far, subscribe.